Let's get to it, man. How you feeling, bro?
All good,
Chilling?
man.
My guy.
What you saying, bro?
Chilling, bro. So let me ask you, brother, what are the 3 basic rules to success?
3 basic rules to success. Well, the first thing I'll say is sacrifice. In order to be successful, you need to sacrifice today for your future self. So whoever you are now, you need to put your future self before who you are now. Because you're gonna get tempted to do things like spend excessively, or sleep with multiple women, or just do things which are just reckless and which are just gonna get in the way of who you are tomorrow. So always just be thinking of that future self. So sacrifice is definitely the first one. The second one is discipline. You're not gonna get very far if you're not disciplined. So just in context, your discipline is just being organized. As you become more and more, as you start earning more and more, you get more and more busy. And so it's essential that your shit is in order. Can I swear? It's essential that your shit is in order. You need to put your stuff into place so that you make the most out of your time. Because as you become more and more successful, you realize that time is actually more valuable than money. And if your time is not in order, then your money is never going to be in order.
I always tell people, time is either going to be your greatest asset or your greatest liability.
Yeah.
So the choice is yours. I tell people all the time, dude, time is greater than money.
Time is far greater than money.
Bro, because you can you can always make money, but you're never going to get back your time.
Exactly. Like if you take someone who's 90 something and they've got millions in the bank and you offer them youth for those millions, it's not obvious that they're going to say no. A lot of people are just going to say yes and start again from scratch. You can definitely imagine that when you're on the brink of death. The final thing I'd say is passion. These days, it's competitive, bro. All you need to do is pick up your phone to see how competitive it is. Just type in what you want to do, your plan or whatever your plan is, into Google, and I assure you people are already doing it. The only thing that's going to distinguish you from them is the amount of passion and the amount of hours you're putting into this thing. You've got to become crazy about whatever it is you want to make happen. And you can crack on and make it happen for sure, but you need to be passionate, because I bet you that they are.
So with that being said, 100%, with that being said, through your different avenues of success, what would you say has allowed you to keep a level of sanity?
So for me, it's hard to define sanity, because there's like a spectrum, right? And to an extent, you kind of have to be crazy to become hyper successful. If you think of someone like Steve Jobs, someone who got fired from the company that he made successful, this guy is, you know what I mean? So some people could be like, this guy's insane, right? But that's what's made him successful. People like Elon Musk with hugely wild ambitions, who at the start people would be like, that is not gonna work, and he's made it work. Obviously not everything's worked, but some stuff has worked that, you know, no one can even comprehend, right? So sanity definitely has to be present to some extent. But I'd say what keeps me from falling off sanity to the extent that you start to tickle with morality is just by having a value structure. So for me, that's faith. God is at the top of my value structure, right? Brother. So if my motives don't correlate, or if what I need to do in order to achieve something doesn't correlate with my faith, then I'm not going to do it. And I think everyone should essentially have that value structure, because that's going to keep you in check, which then links back into the discipline and the other attributes which you need to be continuously successful, bro, because you have to be continuously successful. You can't just be successful for a year, bro. You can't. You need to be consistently and continuously successful, and it's actually better if you start slow and become more successful over time, because then that compounds, rather than just being successful over the space of 10 years. And you see this with athletes, not all of them, but a lot of athletes, especially back in the day. They'd be successful over a short period of time and not be wise about their investments. And then, you know, you just end up in financial difficulty, and ultimately, you know, your success is no longer defined, right? So definitely the consistency as well.
So the problem with a lot of people in my generation is that they care about what people think of them. So to that person that's having that issue, what would you tell them to overcome it?
So naturally, again, I'll refer back to the value structure. The reason why is because if you care about what people think of you, that's fine. And to an extent, it's needed to be successful, because success, especially over a longer period of time, is predicated on relationships that you build. Obviously, this is impacted by how people perceive you. Now, to depict yourself in the correct way, what you need to do is portray yourself in a way where people aren't afraid of you, aren't intimidated by you, but actually value you, right? So you need to present yourself in a credible way, and this is actually a moral way, right? So if you're just a good person, but you are aggressive in business and you do get shit done, people are going to respect you,
100%.
and that's the sort of admiration you want from the outside. So if you think of, oh, what am I going to post on Instagram? Think about it before you post it. It's like, is this something which is going to make people want to work with me? And if the answer is no, I think very, very, very closely about why you want to post that and what your motivations are. Because if your motivations are short term, then it's really not going to benefit you with that continuation of success that's required to get where you want to go.
Yes. So one thing I speak to people all the time about, especially younger individuals, is the importance on self-perception, right? How you perceive yourself. Because the way you see yourself is how the world's going to see you, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So let me ask you, man, before you got into the position you are right now, what were some of the things you tell yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror?
Oh, so I've long been fascinated with this ideology of sacrifice, right? So even now, bro, when I look into the mirror, I see myself as I look now, but I almost see the future me. Because when you look in the mirror, it's almost a transcendent experience in that you're looking at yourself, right?
Yes.
Which is hugely significant in a way. So if you start to look in the mirror in a way where you're looking at the future you become less selfish and start making decisions for the guy in the mirror instead of the impulses in your fucking brain which are convincing you to do things which are predictably unproductive.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So definitely, yeah.
So you being a natural born hustler, what would you say were the 3 greatest habits that you created that has allowed you to be in the position you are today?
Okay, so habits, that's an interesting one because I'd say like habits are developed over time, bro, and I won't lie to you, I haven't always had them, man. Like I was looking at my results from university the other day and they were shocking. They were terrible, man. And this is coming from someone who's, you know, I do like to read. I'm quite academic, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's habits that you have to develop, and I definitely say, you know, you want to be waking up on time, bro. Like I'd start at the basics, man. I don't want to go into complicated stuff. Wake up on time. Wake up on time and get the things done that you told yourself that you're gonna get done. Start, you know, just start with simple things that you do every day. If you're going to the gym, just make sure you go to the gym, bro.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself
Show
down,
up.
man. Don't let yourself down. If you say you're gonna go to the gym 5 times a week, go 5 times a week. Because if you let yourself down, what effectively happens is you start letting yourself down on a lot of other things. You're gonna tell yourself, I need to be a millionaire by 30, and it's not gonna happen because you haven't actually stuck to the smaller promises you've made yourself. So how the hell are you gonna stick to the bigger ones?
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm
bro.
saying? And that's not by any stretch of the imagination, imagining everything's about money, it's not. But generally speaking, you want to practice integrity and you want to practice consistency and you want to practice just self-discipline.
Yes.
And in doing these things, you'll just gradually realize that everything else falls into place over time.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say habit-wise, yeah, for real.
So I have 2 sayings that I say to myself every single day.
Yeah.
First things first is I will never sacrifice integrity. That's the only thing I will never sacrifice is integrity. And the second thing is good things come to those that stay true. So what would you say has helped you throughout your journey of success?
So what's definitely helped me on my journey to success, and this is another thing, I'm still on it, because ultimately success, in my opinion, is almost overhyped in the sense that you don't really want to get to the point where you've achieved everything, because not only is that going to leave you quite deflated and goalless, but you want to be on this continuation of achieving things which proceed towards a greater infinity. So in religion, for example, this is becoming like Jesus, right? So Christians strive to be more like Jesus continuously, and it's a continuous self-improvement which effectively never ends, because you'll never be perfect, you'll never be just like Jesus. And I think that's actually comparable to this ideology of success. you see hugely successful people like Floyd Mayweather who are still going on tour, who are still doing all these fights that they don't need to be doing. And you ask yourself, okay, that's a very driven, successful guy. There's no scandals around him, or so to speak, right? So what is this guy doing right? And I think it's along the lines of not being complacent with whatever you have achieved, and understanding that success is actually a mentality and a mindset and a continuous like growth rhythm that will actually never end. And I think when you transform your mentality into that, not only does failure not feel so brutal, because failure ultimately feels like I've gone the wrong way, I've failed, it's over, but it feels like more of a part of the continuous scale upwards towards a greater self. And that can effectively never end, bro. And I think having that mentality has definitely helped me through the toughest times, because it gets rocky. It gets sticky, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You get what I'm saying? Like, people watching this are probably maybe even in situations like that themselves in different elements of their life. But having the mentality that it's not over and that this is part of the journey, bro, that's what will really make the difference in those sticky, icky times.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that's definitely my answer to that.
Yeah, that was a great answer, by the way. That was really good, man. That was really good.
Appreciate that.
So, you being part of the past generation of entrepreneurs, where do you think my generation is headed today?
I definitely think, bro, bigger and better.
Yeah?
Like, a lot of people are really pessimistic about the next generation, the same way the last generation were about us. Innovation is at the forefront of entrepreneurship. You guys have access to so much information that can only do positive. I mean, yeah, it can do a lot of negative too, but bro, at the end of the day, you know, it's gonna be a positive upswing, just like it has been all the way through history. You don't have to look far back in history to see how far we've come. Whether you're looking at the world wars, whether you're looking at slavery, whether you're looking at economic growth, the world is richer than it's ever been.
Yeah, bro.
There are a lot of threats to those riches, and these are amplified by certain groups in our society, but they should be by no means focused on as the sole being of how we perceive the next generation, bro. You guys have been born at a very special time, an amazing time in world history. It's the richest we've ever been, like I said. Unemployment worldwide is at the lowest it's ever been. Poverty worldwide is at the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
The world feels smaller than it's ever been. You said yourself, you're just traveling around, you know. Can you imagine your ancestors doing that? Absolutely not. Same with me.
Yeah.
So I think there's huge amounts of opportunity for those who want it, and for those who take it, and those who grab it. Don't oversee things such as aggression as bad. You know, like certain groups are trying to speculate that masculinity and all these different types of, you know, are bad, because they're not bad. They're what you need in the toughest times in life. And so the next generation, bro, I see good things, man. I see amazing innovation, and I just see a bright future. And I do see the hardest workers coming up, and the most people willing to pursue the utility in traveling abroad. I think traveling is a life hack. Leaving your hometown is a life hack,
yes.
right? And I think, you know, the fact that the world's smaller and that it's more affordable to travel, why not? You know, create content. Do something that's out of the box and out of the matrix, so to speak, of going to work every day. You know, do something different.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, we are literally living in the era of information, and the window for becoming wealthy is opening every single second. It's just becoming bigger and bigger. The opportunities are endless out here. And I tell people, listen, like, especially people from my generation right now, dude, in 5 years from now, if you're putting in that work every single day, you're gonna be a savage, and you're gonna run over everybody, and everybody's gonna know you for who you are because of what you've done and because of the things you're doing that are allowing you to become the person you are gonna become.
For sure, man. Like, ultimately, if you have those core values of discipline, integrity, and hard work, it's inevitable that you will be better tomorrow than you are today. That sacrifice for the present day self, for the future self, is inevitably going to position you better in the future. And if it's not by money, it will definitely be by the opportunity to create wealth, or to create time and freedom in a different way. So I think that there's definitely the freedom of success, and there's enough open markets around the world to ensure that you can be a valuable part of any economy if that is your idea of success. So yeah, definitely don't don't sacrifice your values, sacrifice your fun, your present self
Yes.
for the future. And bro, it's inevitable that there will be success, man. I think in the past what stopped people from being able to be successful is oppression. You know, this is why I said you don't have to look far in the past to see the disasters and the amount of oppression and war-stricken and poverty that has actually genuinely stopped people from being able to pursue a greater self. If you're blessed enough to be born in a region where you're not suffering by those things, then you know you really don't have any excuse.
Exactly, yeah,
You know, if
man.
I'm being brutally honest, you don't.
Yeah.
So
What piece of wisdom would you pass down to that 18-year-old that just graduated high school that has no idea what he wants to do, but he has a vision for himself?
I definitely just say pursue something which is better than what you're doing now. Try and do the best thing you possibly can. Like, even at that tender age, if you do the best thing that's available to you. So someone may be handing out leaflets today for martial arts. Do it. That's a good thing. Do it. You know, learn the discipline of martial arts. Learn how to harness your inner strength. Learn the disciplines and learn the techniques. You know, this is only gonna add value to your life. You may not be in the position to start an app or to create the next new technology, but those surface level values which you gain from doing just active and positive things which are available to you will definitely constitute to those greater things later.
Yeah, 100%. So, what advice would you give to that person that's at rock bottom right now, that sees himself to the top, but just doesn't know how to get there?
Definitely, I would say just set the bar as low as you can. Do something tomorrow that you didn't do today. Try and achieve something so simple. You know, Jordan Peterson says, make your bed. I think that's solid advice.
Yo, that's super solid.
Make your bed, man.
Yeah.
Make your bed. And then when making your bed becomes a habit, do the next best thing. What's the next best thing? I mean, potentially you have no money, so why don't we, you know, go to a local restaurant and ask for a job? Get a job. You know, just set the bar as low as you possibly can in a way where there's no way you can't achieve it.
Yeah.
And continuously increase that bar. I think people with anxiety of lifts, right? They can't get in the lift. One way to sort of resolve that is by stepping closer to the lift. It's like, how close can you go to this lift without panicking and you know, take it easy, set that bar lower. Okay, you can go that far, cool, tomorrow we'll go a step further, get a step further. Eventually you're in the lift, but it can't move. Okay, tomorrow let's see if we can go on one floor. You know,
one
keep pushing
visionary,
that boundary. Set it low and push the boundary
a
upward.
visionary that I respect a lot is Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
He said, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, by all means, find a way to move forward. You know, and I think that's the problem with a lot of people today, is that they're just so like scared that they're stuck. You know? And I tell people all the time, you have to overcome that. You have to overcome that, and most of it's all mental. So with that being said, would you say that envisioning is a skill set?
I'll definitely say that envisioning fits into, I feel like we're visual characters anyway, we're visual creatures anyway, so it's just a case of channeling that vision into something positive, right? Because you're doing it anyway. I mean, even if you're insecure, what you're actively doing is you're envisioning the worst, you know? So it's about inhabiting the ability to change that envisioning to something positive, which is going to get you, you know, across the barrier that you're trying to get to. And I think if you begin by developing that mentality, which in its step is a push of that boundary, then you're steadily on your way. So yeah, definitely a skill. But I'd say the skill is more distinguishing and being able to control that envisioning. You get what I'm saying? When you can control that, then you become more powerful.
Yeah. Yo, so let me ask you, how long have you been living in Dubai for?
6 years.
6 years. And
yeah, bro.
In these 6 years of your experience living in Dubai, would you say it has opened your mind to endless opportunities?
Yeah, definitely, bro. Like, look, ultimately there's utility in traveling abroad. Because what you do when you travel abroad is you enter chaos, right? And there's this utility in turning chaos into order. When you're able to leave your hometown into chaos and then create order within that chaos. That is you doing the unseen and the impossible. And it's actually the same mentality the Romans had when they were conquering, right? Is they conquer into chaos, war, and then they create order out of it. And in doing so, you create a stronger base and a stronger foundation, not only for your community, but for yourself. So I wouldn't even just distinguish it from being Dubai. Dubai is an amazing place. Essentially, this is an entrepreneur's haven, open markets. The leadership here is phenomenal. So definitely that congruence has been very, very helpful for my mentality and where I am in the stage of my life. But broader than Dubai, there's a lot of other places in the world which are accessible and which will give you the same sort of benefits that Dubai has given me. So definitely, bro, I think the greatest achievement has been in moving abroad and just making that perspective to life grander and meeting people with that same mentality who are just ready to get up in the morning and do something they've never done before, because there's huge amounts of utility in that, bro.
100%.
Yeah.
So prior to recording this, you were talking to me about the importance of sales. Let's briefly talk about why sales is important and how it's helped you out in your experience.
So sales is important because you're no longer, when you're in sales, and if you're able to be successful in sales, which is a huge skill set in itself, what it actually allows you to do is allows you to compound and earn more based on your individual skill set rather than having to climb the hierarchy, which is the traditional corporate way of becoming more and more successful, right? So salespeople are almost outside of the hierarchy in a sense that if you're in sales and you're successful, you can earn more than your manager. And at times, if you're hugely successful and the commission structure allows it, you can earn more than your manager's manager. You see, in any given month, you see what I mean? And obviously, in an age where there are so many opportunities to then leverage that extra income, I think sales, having the ability and the skill set to position yourself in a way where you can earn more than your manager's manager, will give you so many opportunities to become successful. It can give you the opportunity to invest in other revenue streams that are gonna obviously enrich you, and it obviously gives you that freedom to put money aside in different places should you ever want to leave and move somewhere else. In sales, there's no specific hierarchy. It's either you're good or you're not. So practicing those skills is something that you can do. And another thing that's very good about sales is you don't even need to be particularly I won't say intelligent. You do need to be intelligent to an extent, but you don't need to be qualified. You don't need any degree, any certificate, all these certificates which are hugely expensive and very unachievable these days and very competitive. You don't need that in sales. All you need is the gift of the gab, and you need the ability to persuade and to do it ethically. And if you can do that, you can become very, very successful.
What would you say was the biggest valuable lesson that you've learned throughout becoming a salesman?
In sales, bro, the best thing I've learned, I'd say, is probably the value of relationships. In sales, relationships is hugely valuable. And one thing that you do learn in sales is it's a lot less about the product and a lot more about the person. These are people-to-people skills, and modern day academia, or any day academia, can't really teach that. You know, these are skills that are entrenched within you and that you can actually develop yourself for free. It doesn't cost anything to become a good salesman. And I think that's probably why it's not as promoted as much in universities and stuff like that, right? Because sales is something you don't need any qualification for, right? It's a people-to-person business, people-to-people business. It can be B2B, but even when it's B2B, you're dealing with people. So I think in sales, one of the most important things I've learned is to have those values and how important those values are. Integrity, discipline, sticking to your word, keeping to your promises, and making sure your word is as good as gold. Because if you do that, those sales will keep coming to you. If you don't, and you take the easy sale, you can burn yourself and lose your job, lose your license in whatever industry it is, or you can just quickly lose your credibility and not be able to sell at all. So it's interesting that sales does inhibit those values that are essential in any community, and those values are free, man. So it's really up to you to go up there, develop those things, develop that value structure, integrate that discipline and go out there and make some money, bro. And that's what sales promises.
Before coming to Dubai,
Yeah.
did you see yourself being in the position you are right now?
Absolutely, bro. So I've always been extremely ambitious, man. Like, I've always seen myself as becoming successful. It's almost not been a choice for me, man. And I think that absence of choice growing up is the reason that it's do you know what it is, bro? Like, that's so interesting. All you need to do is not give up.
Exactly.
So I think you define yourself in those moments that are truly the most difficult, bro. When you're on your ass, no one gives a shit about you. You're underneath water, you can't breathe. That is the moment that determines you. That's when you become successful. In moments like that, your mentality in moments like that is absolutely pivotal and it's absolutely essential. And if you can master that, then there's nothing on this earth that can stop you, because then genuinely the only way is up. So I definitely always saw myself in that way. And I think it's that there's a deeper sense of betrayal in myself if I do ever give up. Bro, when it's ever got sticky for me and it's got really muddy, bro, I just feel the best, bro. That's when I go to the gym and I put the trap music on and I go in. Do you get what I'm saying?
No,
bro,
facts.
you get me? That is going to keep man down. Do you get what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah, man.
Having that mentality, bro, like I'm the man, I can do it. Like there's nothing that can stop me, G.
Exactly.
And that hypes people up. And yeah, you should be hyped up. You should be hyped up. Get me? Because there's nothing else worth living
Facts.
for, bro.
Hell
You get what
yeah.
I'm saying? So yeah, I've always seen myself becoming hugely successful. I mean, look, money is not my definition of success, man. It's definitely more aligned with freedom, love, you know, having people around me, being a good person, and having respect, right? And that's a lot more complicated than just earning money. And I think when that's your idea of success, then you're never totally a loser because other values are always intact. And so you can always hold on to that hope. Don't predicate yourself totally on money. And I feel like that's what's happening online, bro. People are just putting everything on money. It's not
They're
just
so
about
materialistic.
money, bro.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's not just about money, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that's a really good question actually, for real. Like, and it's very important as well. But I think in the midst of chaos, in the midst of that depth, in the midst of the storm, bro, that's where you really define yourself and define the man you're gonna be when you're on top.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it seems that you consider yourself as an undeniable person. And with that said, would you say you've became this way through hardship?
Absolutely, bro. I think I've been defined by the hardest moments in my life. I think difficult moments are actually opportunities to rise above them. And you see this in mythology, and you see this all the way throughout history, bro. The darkest times are the times where you learn how to do things better so that that doesn't happen again. Without specifying moments in history, this is genuinely what growth is. This is the definition of growth, right? It's like people think memories so that we can remember how fond times were. No, memory is there so you can remember why you got into that situation, and so that you can improve and not do that again. This is like a survival instinct, right? We develop memory for that reason, right? Oh, a snake bit me when I went there. Don't go there again. Or better yet, how can I terminate that snake? Or better yet, how can I find that snake's nest? And all this is coming from the memory of what happened when that snake bit you. Do you see what I mean? So I definitely think that success is definitely predicated on leveraging the past, and that's what people should seek to do.
What was the greatest piece of wisdom told to you?
Ooh, the greatest piece of wisdom told to me. Ooh, that's a good question. I think the greatest wisdom for me would just be